You got one life, for crying out loud. You might as well just give it all you got.
The Deej, Dan Jordan.
Your daily dose of reality. Your daily dose of the Deej.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I need my daily dose of the Deej.
I make the news. I don't watch the news. I'm a leader.
The Sales Energizer, Dan Jordan.
Listen, don't worry how to sell, baby. Worry about why people buy. And it's fun.
You don't need a 5-hour energy. All you need is the Sales Energizer.
Just when I think it's not going to be as fun as the one before, each one gets successfully better. What's the word I'm looking for? What's it going to take to get you into this car today, huh?
And now, please welcome the Sales Energizer, Dan Jordan.
Boom! That's exactly it. Do that. Let's do that. I don't know what I like better, the boom or what's it gonna take to get you into this car today, huh?
That's that old school used car salesman.
Oh my gosh!
Hey, what's it gonna take? I've got to feed my family. Open shirt, gold chain. Isn't that what that is? I don't know if that ever really worked, but that certainly became the stereotype, which is kind of a fun thing because you could riff off it. It's cool. So I turned around instead of facing this way. I'm facing this way. You see, so now we got a different background. Little differences.
Sometimes little changes. Just leave 5 minutes. You want a big change in your life? Leave 5 minutes earlier. It's like a whole new world. There's a whole new group of people in the coffee shop. There's a whole new group of people in traffic. And so your whole life can change with little mini changes.
There's a whole new thing for you that's happened here over the last couple of weeks. And speaking of, we're live. Dan Jordan is live on a new channel today. And if you know Dan Jordan as the pitch man, and you don't know him as the Sales Energizer, I mean, they're kind of one and the same. It's just, both are the Deej. Yeah, right. But if you're over on Amazon Live and watching the pitch man, you're now watching Dan Jordan, the Sales Energizer, live. We've got a fantastic guest today and a book that you see down in the carousel. If you're watching us from somewhere else, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, all the tubes, where's the party, Dan?
The party is whenever you're with the Deej, that's the party. It's always unbelievable. Wherever you listen, sometimes there are some people that you walk into a room and the room gets brighter, and there are some people that walk in, leave the room and it gets brighter. We try to attract the people that brighten the place up, and so
I like that.
Every once in a while, and I think we're going to start doing it once a week here on Amazon and the other platforms. By the way, did I mention to follow yet? I mean, just follow. It's like a click, and you can feel good about yourself because you've done something to help somebody else. But hold on, wait,
Dan. Go ahead. Yeah,
what do we got,
dude? Ricky is joining us from Amazon Live and wants to know when the oven mitt giveaway is happening.
Oh yeah, the free. I'm gonna make Sales Energizer. I'm looking around for my. Hold on a sec. So we got a logo, everything with the Dan Jordan, the Sales Energizer on the mitt right here. I guess it's over here. But so I'm going to make oven mitts, Ricky, with the Sales Energizer logo on it. But you'll be the first one. We'll make sure you know. He's an active follower here. Oh, June Klein's here in the party too. This is a good time. We always get better activity here on the show to make your life better when we have really exceptional women on the show. And I think we got one today, Chris Stone. I mean, you wouldn't say something as nice about her as I would, but why don't you go ahead and introduce her?
I would absolutely love to. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome to Dan Jordan Live, certified career coach, Forbes Coaches Council member, international speaker, podcaster, and of course, the reason why she's here, other than all those other fantastic reasons, best-selling author of the new book, Elevate Your Career, More Impact, More Income. Please welcome Erin Urban.
Let's elevate Dan Jordan.
That's what I'm talking. That's so funny. We tell all our guests that they have one rule, and that is to put your arms up when you come in. And I forgot. After all that, I know if it weren't for you, Erin, I wouldn't be able to be elevating my arms. There we go. You see what I'm talking about? That kind of stuff doesn't come from just anybody. That's why Ricky is such a super fan. He comes there. But this is important. So once a week, I like to do book reviews with all the really and reading. Listen, my mom used to say this. This is one of those she used to say, because I never wanted to read when I was a kid because you're a boy and you rather be dirty. And so my mom said something very special that really did affect me. She said, Danny, if you don't read, you're no better off than the person who can't read. And I'm like, that's good. That's good stuff, huh? And so I've become a pretty decent reader, and what I read are books and self-help books. I'm big into all that, but I've gravitated towards books that are easy reading, that flow, that the writing is good. And you, Erin, have figured out a way to combine both good quality and good writing, and for that I thank you.
You are very welcome. That's one of the reasons why I wrote this book. I, as an executive coach, I'm the career accelerator. Okay. That's what I do is I elevate people's careers. But most importantly, when I read all these books, they're all great, good material, a lot of great theory. And then you're left thinking, what the heck do I do now? This sounds wonderful. I want to get more time out of my day, or have my wonderful mornings, or be able to accelerate my career, or get the promotion, or get that great new job, or whatever it is. And you don't have any way to do that. You were left with all this great theory, and you're really excited. You're done reading the book or listening to the audio cast. What next? And that's why I wrote this book.
That's exactly right. But now in your heading, when writing it up, it says, find out this is a big challenge. There's a lot of really smart people out there, and I run into them. They're 48 to 52 years old. They've moved up to the career. They've done really well for whatever reason, a business buyout, all sorts of happen. Now they're looking for employment, and it's 6 months. It's 8 months. They've run out of excuses, and then they start beating themselves up. Has the market left me? And I've been reading your book at the beginning. It says, find out why, these bad things are happening to good, qualified, skilled people. But my question is, who cares why? People try to look for, you could spend months looking for the why, but that's not going to help you. What do you tell those people that are kind of mired in trying to find themselves?
Well, first of all, don't spend too much time there, because you're wasting a lot of valuable time. You need to capitalize on momentum. And that's what I'm all about. It's all about action. And that's one of the reasons I wrote this book, is to create an action plan with real strategic, very simple yet significant. Because here's the deal. In all my years of corporate, one thing I really hit home for me is you try to make something complex, it won't stick. It's not going to happen. So it has to be simple. It has to be immediately applicable. It has to be relevant to you. So that's what I encourage people to do. Get out of the negative quicksand. Stop getting sucked down into that mindset pit of despair, and think about, okay, what can I do next based on my goal? Because we always want to focus on the goal and then reverse engineer so we can start climbing those steps, or climbing those ladder towards the goal you want to achieve.
Well, yeah, okay, but let's role play. Okay. Okay, so we're role playing. I don't know what my goal is. I just want a job.
Okay. Right. Any job?
Yeah, any job that pays $100,000.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Deesh, you need to have a target. You have to have a target, particularly right now. Here's the thing. It's a really competitive market out there. In order for you to stand out and leverage your awesome expertise, which I know you have, because we all have way more impact than we give ourselves credit for, number one. Number two, we have to identify, okay, based on this experience that I have so far, because if you want $100,000 a year, probably you're not starting out from college. Or maybe you are, I don't know. But what did you study in college, right? So we have to start somewhere. Like, let's leverage the knowledge we have to then springboard into something that gives us some sense of satisfaction versus going to work and feeling miserable. But most importantly, you need that target to stand out through applicant tracking systems for online applications, to stand out to recruiters. And then you have to talk about your ROI to decision makers, because quite frankly, they want to know what's in it for them when they hire you, right?
Well, so applicant, by the way, you sound really good. What kind of mic are you using?
Yeah. I think it's a Logi cheap and cheerful HD 1080p camera with mic attached.
Oh, look at that.
Camera mic.
Costs $24 on Amazon.
You see that?
There you go.
Yeah, well, there we go. So if we had a real producer, he would have probably had that on the carousel below there. But you know how it is. We're using at Chris Stone, who is the producer of all things good.
You're trying to make up for.
I'm trying to make up for
the shot.
He hooked me up.
See how this is.
He hooked me.
Yeah, it's such a great mic that we can't hear it right now.
Now we can't hear Deej. Deej went away. Where'd Deej go?
This is the perfect show ever now, Erin. Okay. So you talked about basically niching down and focusing and being, and so I deal with a lot of content creators and podcasters and people like Dan Jordan that can't plug their microphone in, and they get all.
I hit the mute button because I was trying to talk about the Samsung Q2U.
Here's our error.
See, sometimes you don't need something awesome. You did what you did, which was, hey, there's a microphone in this camera. I can use it. I plug it in. It's simple, easy, effective, and it gets you on the show. It gets you on other shows. No earbuds. You sound great.
Around on your shirt. I mean, you don't.
But by the way, that's also an important feature when you're on those calls with a recruiter and all those people. You gotta sound good. Mm-hmm. You know, it just.
And speaking of sound, we are about to get a lovely background noise of the local train.
Oh, well, that's good. Well, you know what we call that? The Deeds train. Climb aboard, just like Ricky. Just like so. Listen. So, if you guys have any questions out there, but show them the book, Chris Stone. That you can get it. It's one of those things. Much better. One of the things I've been doing to really improve, 2020 was a great year. This is becoming a great year. And it's the reason I tend to have more energy. And it is at nighttime, instead of sitting in front of the TV, just pick up a book and read a couple of pages. You'll wake up, drooling into the book, but you'll sleep so soundly. It's so good. And then instead of waking up thinking about the latest, fire and crisis, you're dreaming about ways to improve yourself and your career. And it's as easy as picking up a good book and start reading it. So I encourage everybody to just go ahead and, hey, my idea, as long as you're going to get a good book, a book to help yourself, why not one that's easy reading that's going to help? Right, Erin?
Yeah, absolutely. It gives you some real tactical, strategic things you can do right away. I mean, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. It does not have to be complex for you to see transformational results in your career. It doesn't. That's the thing. We're not talking about 20-step program here. But what I'd like to do, Deej, if it's okay with you, I'm going to give you a little nerdy scientific fact, because I studied neuroscience and all that kind of thing. You mentioned reading right before you go to bed, right? Mm-hmm. And how it's such it makes you feel great. There's a reason why. And actually, right before bed, right when you wake up in the morning, is when you're closer to accessing your subconscious mind. So if you want to change a nasty habit, or you want to make a transformation in your life, right before bed, or right when you wake up in the morning, you read something positive, empowering, insightful. That's where it's at.
That is excellent. I've been doing that. I've been for a while now. I just wake up and I say thank you. And then I go to bed and I say thank you. Like I don't even say to anybody or for anything, but it puts you in the kind of spirit of gratitude that allows you to share more easily. I find people like that. Now, you wrote this book and you have a coaching group that does it. Now, by the way, if people buy the book, do they need the coaching? Or does the book take care of it?
Do they need me? Of course you need
Yeah, okay.
You want
But was there a personal experience for the reason that you decided to write this book?
Yes, actually, I share that in the book. So what's fun about Amazon is you can actually go and read the first part of the book. So you can read the whole preface, like why I wrote the book and all the things. So it's pretty cool. So you can actually learn a lot about the book right there. But yes, actually, Deej, I'm glad you asked that question because I had a major transformation happen earlier in my career. The best thing that ever happened to me was a bad performance review. True story. I walked in one fine spring morning, much like the mornings we're having now, expecting the usual attaboy, pat on the back, you did a good job, here's no raise, that kind of thing. Only to hear, well, Erin, you excel and technically and lead great projects, you do great work with clients. However, we have some concerns. Ooh. Turns out I was not so great at developing relationships inside my organizations. I was great with clients, but not so wonderful with my peer group. And that was hurting my career.
Interesting.
Yep. And what's interesting too is by applying some of the techniques I share in the book, 9 months later, like a pregnancy, boop, I gave birth to a new me. Not literally, actually, it's very small changes that I made, but I started being interested in other people that I worked with. And 9 months later, I was elevated into a leadership role. Not just any leadership role, an influential leadership role, which required relationship skills. So,
wow. Are you still there?
No, I have since moved on. That was earlier in my career. I've since moved upwards and out of corporate. And now I help people elevate their careers as a career executive coach and career strategist. That's what I do.
That's really exciting. So now, do you stay with them while they're working, or is it to help them get a job?
Both. So you might want to call me kind of like a comprehensive career coach. I help people understand, okay, what do I really want to be when I grow up? Because particularly during the pandemic, some of us had that pause. We've had a moment to think, I don't really like what I'm doing. I'm not really sure what I want to do. So there's that. So I help people find the clarity. Then, okay, I just need a new job. Like you mentioned earlier, Deej, I just want a job. Okay, great. Let's talk about that. Let's position you strongly based on your strengths and expertise to land the job that gives you the money you want, more impact, more influence, more income, baby, right? That's what we're talking about. And then also grow because, hey, if you've got a great job or maybe you don't want to leave your company, you probably want to elevate. So that's what I do.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Dan. No, I was just going to say, you talked about the performance review and working with peers. Do you feel like in the work environment, was it the competitiveness that happens there that maybe kept you from, sort of, I don't know, having a little more empathy or taking more interest in others? And how do you work with people that, may have had some of those similar situations as you have?
That's a really great question, Chris. So I'm a bit of a driven individual.
I can tell.
Yeah, I know it comes as a shock. It comes as a big shock to everybody, but a bit of a driven individual, a bit metrics focused, a bit what's next personality. And it wasn't that I didn't want to know people. I thought I was doing the right thing. And that's the thing. A lot of professionals feel like they're doing the right things. They come in, they work super hard. You hear all about true grit. They focus on metrics and what's next and working late and doing all the special projects, and they have all the expertise or all the credentials, but they don't really focus on the number one thing that truly matters. And that is how other people perceive you. That's what matters, because your success is defined by other people's perception of your credibility. You drive it, but you don't determine it. So one of the things we do when I work with clients, they've done all the things. They don't work really hard. They got a certification, education. So theoretically, they should be moving up and just aren't. We try to understand, okay, what's going on? Get some feedback from peers. if appropriate, right? So we do that and we get that feedback. We understand, okay, what's really going on from other people's, how are they perceiving you the way you think you're showing up? Like, what's your brand?
Right. Yeah. What's your reputation? What are they saying after you hang up, after the camera's off, after you walk out of the office? If you're in person, your reputation is really, there's a huge amount of value that I think a lot of people don't place in that. And that is absolutely key. And you might think that you're just rocking, right? Oh man, my staff loves me, or, man, look at, well, they're probably like that in front of your face because you're the boss or you're the manager, you're next up on the org chart, whatever the title is. And I think,
or they're just being polite.
Right. Right. And some people aren't open. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. But what's wrong with that? I mean, just being polite. I'm always to the point that, act like the person you'd like to become, and then very soon you'll see that person in the mirror.
Absolutely.
And if you want to, my daughter gave me the best thing for Christmas. We have she's a normal girl, and she sees Cinderella, and she always wanted to be Cinderella. And we're always watching Cinderella, but there's a real live version of Cinderella that she likes, and and so we watch it together. And the slogan from you might not know this, but Cinderella had a mother at one time, but the mother perished because it's a Disney movie and that's what happens. So before the mother died, she gave advice to Cinderella, which was two things: always have courage and be kind, which I think is the greatest value system in the world. And so my daughter actually made a painting for me with that slogan. It's big on the wall. We just love it. Isn't it great? Have courage and be kind. Now, if you're the type of person who doesn't have courage and you're not generally kind, we could do this in terms of the skills that you have, because you said earlier, what are your skills and how can we accentuate that? What if you want to become that which you don't have the skills for, or you don't have the natural acuity for, but you want something deeply? My always thought is, act like the person you'd like to become. Act courageous. Act kind. And in terms of what you said before, because this all comes around because I am a trained professional, you said they could be just being polite. Acting polite can turn you into a polite person. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Absolutely. You are so correct, because it's much easier to act your way into feeling than feel your way into action.
Ooh, that's good. Write that one down. Is that in the book? I love that.
Might be. I don't know.
In terms of sales, I always say it's a lot easier to make a friend out of a customer than it is to make a customer out of a friend. But yours is better. I like yours better. Excellent. Well, so and we were talking earlier about in this world today, you got to be more personal than professional.
Yes.
Because you can't out-profession anybody. That's all been done already. I mean, you can't. It's just, you can't make a nicer tie, and I'm not wearing a tie, so it probably wasn't a good thing. But so in that realm, let me ask you, is it appropriate in the workplace of today to bring your personal hobbies, foibles, vulnerabilities, passions from your home life into the workplace?
Yes, within reason. So what we want to do is share what's appropriate, obviously, because we all know, and we work with those people who, when they walk into the office in the morning pre-pandemic, we would, slowly mosey around the other side of the cubicle because you knew they were going to be talking something, oh, you wouldn't believe, blah, blah, complain. So, right. If you want to make friends, one, be more positive, be engaged with other people, and share something appropriately personal. Hobbies are great. If you love pets, great, talk about that. I mean, it doesn't matter. Fishing, I don't care. Be a person. And that's where years ago, I actually fell off the bus a little bit, because I didn't necessarily see people as people. I saw them as positions. So if you resonate with that at all, I encourage you to start seeing people as people. And if they're not sharing it with you, you may not need to start breaking down that barrier. Ask questions. Hey, what'd you do this weekend? Did you go hiking? Did you go biking? Are you a runner? So learn about people and don't be afraid to share something appropriate about yourself. And like you mentioned before, be the person, act like the person you want to become. I think there's another phrase that I love is be someone who someone would want to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think as well, it's like let's just say you're just not naturally a polite person, and you guys are talking about acting like being polite. I'd like to think I'm polite, but maybe I should ask my peers and see what they think. Yeah. But if you act polite and all of a sudden you may like the results, even though you're acting like it, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, I was polite there, and this good thing happened to me. And, oh, look, I have more friends. And, oh, look, I enjoy my life a little bit more just from acting. And eventually that acting just becomes that muscle that you work, that rep that you work, that thing. And now that's what you are, is acting polite.
That's right?
Yeah. But you're not acting anymore. It's just natural.
Right.
But you want it first. You have to want the goal, like you said, the goals earlier. Right. So first thing to get started is if you want to elevate your career, just go down there and pick up a book. I mean, it's that easy. That's all you have to do. There it is. Elevate your career. It's step one, and it gets you started. The whole, I was telling my philosophy of achieving goals on previous episodes, previous shows. So if you heard this again, it's worth it to hear it twice. My dad used to say that. He said, in his little Jewish way, would it kill you to learn something twice? Said I should be so lucky. So, but what I do to achieve goals is to lower the bar. It's tough to do if you wake up and you have to do 200 push-ups. But if your goal is to do one, you'll get started. Like, it's tough to get started to do 200, but it's easy to get started if your goal is just to do one. And probably when you do one, you're going to wind up pushing more and you're going to achieve that goal. So if your goal is to elevate your career, the first step, pick up a book, and that's your goal and you've accomplished it. Second is read one page, and then you keep on moving on, and you will find that you create that habit of continual learning, and it makes your life better. So I would, there are other books there, by the way, too. Sales Proverbs, Wisdom of the Ages. I mean, when you, I don't like to push my own thing here, but that would be a lie. But here's flip through it. Sometimes I read it. Do you ever do this, Erin Urban? You read your book and you're like, dang, that was good. Like, where did that? Because you forget. Yeah, you forget. And by the way, career people do that too. Do you ever have people that were really successful in their career? And you people watching it, you might be really successful in your career, and then you fall into a slump, and it's like you think you have to start from zero. So a lot what you do, Erin, is to make them realize that what got them to where they were is the same tools that they could use again to get to someplace else.
Yes, and
please disagree with me. Please.
Sometimes what gets you where you are is not necessarily what gets you where you want to go. I'll give you an example.
Yes.
Work hard. The all-American dream. Work hard, play hard. Woohoo, true grit, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Let's have a real conversation about that. It's not that you're going to get many places if you just hang out lazy and don't do anything. On the flip side, if you work really hard, chances are you might be working yourself into a non-replaceable position. So if you do want to move up, might be kind of hard to do that once you become the firefighter in whatever position you're holding, right? You're also setting the bar really high and now setting expectations that you always produce this volume of work or this volume of turnaround or whatever that looks like. So we need to be careful, don't be a slacker and meet expectations, strategically exceed them. That's what I tell people. Meet expectations. First of all, understand what the heck the expectations are, and strategically exceed them based on where you want to go. And also know, by reverse engineering, based on that goal you have, what do you need to do to move up? It may not be the same set of skills that got you where you are today. It may not be the same set of mindset, same mindset that got you where you are today. One of the leaders I worked with recently, she's like, we came to a revelation. Actually, I shared a little bit about her in the book. She's named Mary. in the book. So her name is Mary in the book. And when I was working with her, she didn't feel like a leader. She felt like a manager. So she was acting like a manager, even though she was in a very senior level position. You elevate, right?
Got it. So it's the mindset. By the way, let me ask you, do you find yourself working with more women?
It's 50-50, truly.
It is.
Yeah, it's really 50-50. I don't identify with just coaching women, although I do coach quite a few driven, experienced professional women, yes.
And are there certain things that men put in obstacles in their way, and certain things that women put in obstacles their way that are typical of each?
Yes. Yes. Actually, women have slightly different.
Well, this is exciting. I'll give you examples.
Yeah. So women have slightly different, sometimes self-imposed obstacles that we tend to put in our way. And one of those is because we're historically have been judged based on our performance and not potential. And men have historically been the opposite. They're judged on their potential, not performance as much. And because of that performance focus for women tend to be, not always, but tend to be particularly driven, experienced professional women. They tend to be more perfectionist, overachievers, really focused on the metrics and working super hard, tend to try to get everything right. And they tend to sometimes ignore the relationships, the networking. And while men, on the other hand, do a great job, oftentimes, not always, but a great job of a little bit more networking and building the relationships than women do sometimes.
Wow. That is, it flies completely in the face of what I had learned. It was and again, I'm not even a college graduate. So everything is, I didn't even attend. I took a scuba diving class at a college once. That was about it. Yeah. And I got my license for that. But it's been my experience that men are more interested in things in general. This is all general, and women are more interested in people. And so what you're saying is the exact opposite, that men are concerned with relationships and women are concerned with the metrics. So
when it comes to driven, experienced professionals, yes. For those, yes. So there's a shift in mindset. And one of the reasons, hypothetically, one could theorize that women see, the metrics about, moving ahead and not necessarily, trying to focus on nurturing relationships, because one, they get so busy and wrapped up in what they're doing. They feel like they should set aside that natural, more, community minded, that feeling and that nurturing, that empathy. They feel like they should set it aside to be a better leader. And that's actually the exact opposite of what
my gosh. If you were here, I would hug you. You're exactly right. My biggest challenge is when young women try to go into the workplace and think that they have to acquire the worst qualities of the men. Men have some bad qualities. Don't go after those. There's other good ones, but don't go after the bad ones. That's exactly right. That's perfect.
So Erin, I've got a question. I think I guess maybe gender identity aside, and it is, you talked about sort of assessing. You talked about evaluation, you talked about reaching out to peers in order to kind of really get that holistic sort of view of how you can work with someone. But a lot of people, including myself at times, when they hear even criticism that may be constructive, they react, maybe not aggressively, but they're not used to hearing it because maybe they've been elevated to C-level, maybe quickly because they're a good, they work really hard, but they don't know how to manage people. And they've skipped some of the rungs along the way because they do have skills. So it's hard for people to hear some of these things that are a little thorny. So how do you work with people that you see are reacting in a way that doesn't make them feel like they want to do better? They just maybe aren't really giving value to what feedback they're getting.
Right. Well, Chris, it's perfectly natural for anyone not to feel enthusiastic about feedback that goes against our vision of ourselves, because we all have an image of who we are, right? We all have this ego, an idea of who we are, and whether it's true or false, but we all have a mindset about who we are. And when we hear something, feedback, that goes against that, it oftentimes doesn't sit well, because you're challenging ego, you're challenging sense of self. And the first reaction we have, the instinctual reaction, is go, no. This is no, and get angry or defensive. When I work with individuals, we're reaching out for feedback, and I prep them. So I educate them in the stages of feedback, which is perfectly natural. Congratulations, you're a human being if you feel that way. First of all. So when one is reaching out for feedback, it's a little bit different than you just getting it and not asking for it. Fair? Because if you didn't ask for it, it's probably you were all like, well, who the heck are you? Who do you think you are? But when you're asking for it, you are automatically more open and more receptive to receiving that. Now, if you are a person who, as you mentioned before, has maybe skipped a few rungs or moved up really quick and were elevated because you worked really hard, or because of your expertise or how long you were at the company, which, by the way, historically, a lot of companies have moved people up because of how great they did at their job. And what they did was they lost a great individual contributor and gained a bad manager, because they don't train them. As I told one of my clients the other day, I was like, you have two choices. We have a couple of choices. You can be a technical expert, which doesn't have to lead people. You lead by influence and your expertise. You can be a manager or a leader. Now, here's a fun thing about management. Management, you have to manage people and you have to be a leader. Leadership, you don't have to manage people, but you still need to be a leader. So management gets it from both ends, but they don't train people. Anyway, I digress. So.
Interesting. Well, you talked about feedback. There's another group of people like myself who will ask for feedback, but really all I want is a pat on the back. All I want is, oh, you're good. You're a good boy. Are you a psychologically trained? Have you taken those courses and stuff?
I am certified in leadership psychology. I study neuroscience and behavioral science.
Oh, so you could analyze me. This is good.
I don't know. Okay. That's kind of scary.
Because I have deep personal problems. I hear you.
How long do we have?
It's true. I think most people who are blustery and exuberant as I am, and quickly to go out and to be in front of people and on stage and doing all this stuff, it's because I'm probably insecure about something, right? So I mean, what in my past? Tell me what in my past. If you were to meet someone like me. And so here I am. I've got all these skills, and here I am. Well, because I think there's a lot of people out there, but they're too chicken to say what I'm about to say. So I have all those skills like you're talking about. I'm willing to get out there and do, but I continually kind of self-sabotage. My wife tells me, why do we always have to start from zero? I'll build up a business, I'll sell it, and then I'll start something new. And it's like I'm continually sabotaging that consistent growth. So, and people, I imagine, do that in their career. So how do you overcome that with somebody?
Well, it's very interesting you mentioned self-sabotage, because we all have what's called an upper limit switch. So we've all defined unconsciously, by the way, we don't think about this consciously, it's totally unconscious. We've all set a limit on how much happiness, abundance, and success we'll accept in our lives, all of us. And if you doubt me, test it with your spouse or significant other. I did when I started, diving into studying and learning about this. I tested it with my spouse, because I noticed anytime I said either to myself or out loud, wow, we're getting along really well, we would immediately have a fight about something stupid, like he put his spoon in the wrong side of the drawer or whatever. I mean, something dumb, it's just, what's going on? And so when I realized, as I became aware of it, I was like, oh crap, I'm doing it. but we do. We all have this upper limit switch. So for you, Deej, I would start diving in and a little bit to understand, okay, what is that upper limit switch you're hitting? And what is it makes you afraid to continually build on, capitalize on existing momentum? Are you the first in your familial system? Are you a pioneer? Are you the first in your familial system to go as far as you have? And once you get to a certain point, you feel like, wait a minute, I've gone too far. I need to reinvent again. Or it could be, maybe not that, right? It could also be you're just a creator. You're a person who loves to have new and different. And that is your priority, maybe not the success, right? Capitalizing success. So understanding what those priorities are, combined with those upper limits, and what in your framework gives a lot of insight as to how you can then start to make small changes where you want to grow. Like, what do you want? Like you mentioned before, you have to want it, right?
Right. Oh, that's good. That's good. My biggest issue is I've always been the best looking in my family, and it's been it's a constant battle.
And humble.
That's right. We have to deal with. But that was excellent psychoanalytic stuff there. And is there any of that available in your book, Elevate to Success?
In fact, yes, I have a chapter dedicated to the growth mindset. Chapter 4. Really?
Yeah. You see, and it really is about mindset. I mean, that's where it starts. And everybody knows that. Everybody knows that, you just have to improve yourself, work on yourself. I always tell people, if you want to be a better salesperson, first be a better person. And if you define yourself as being a better person by continually learning, and especially about the most important person in the world, yourself, you could do well. People have a hard time. It's very difficult to change the world overnight, but it's really easy to change yourself overnight, and it comes with that wanting to. And I think your book is a great catalyst to get people started. How do people get a hold of you? If people are interested in talking to you more and all this action, give us some tips to get the best out of Erin Urban.
If you want to reach out, find me. First of all, I'm all over LinkedIn. I also have a live show and podcast every Tuesday, 11 o'clock, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, you name it. But you can find all about me at coacheurban.com. So it's Coach E, first initial, last name Urban, URBAN.com. And you can find all about me, how to work with me one-on-one, if you'd like to have me as a speaker to your group to help them elevate their careers and their presence. Reach out. I'd love to talk to you. And by the way, on my website, I have some fun assessments that are free. You can hop on there, grab those assessments, grab the Career Pathfinder, and I have a ton of free resources. I am one of those pay it forward people to a fault. I just love giving. So you'll find a whole career series even on my blog.
Well, now, by the way, I have to ask you this. Is that helpful too for someone who's trying to improve their career to start giving of themselves for free?
Absolutely. Well, okay, so here's the law of reciprocity. Do I make that sound fancy? So
that's hard to say.
The law of reciprocity is a psychological law that we all hold to, all cultures. So when you feel in debt to someone, you will always want to repay the debt. You want to close it, you want to clear that debt, right? So the law of reciprocity, you can leverage no matter where you are in your career or what your career is. When you do something that someone values tremendously, that is low energy for you, so low expenditure, low energy for you, you give something high value to other people, then they feel in debt to you. Law of reciprocity kicks in, and you want to leverage that network or leverage that relationship in a positive way, of course.
That's great. So people need to understand I've told this story before about myself when I was getting married. My dad told me, he said, Danny, 50-50, you're going to get divorced. He says, you give 90% and hope you get 10% back. And he said the same thing to her. And if both sides are giving 90%, you have a good chance of making things go. So pay it forward, and then you'll get something back. That 10% comes back with a smile. And usually it's a lot more than 10%. So what we need to do. Thank you so much for coming. I think you're awesome. This is great to have you there. And for you people that had a chance to watch this whole thing, remember, her book is available below. What's the name of the book again?
Elevate your career for more impact and income.
Elevate your career. And you will elevate your career simply by reading the book. If you do nothing else but read the book, you're on the path to improving yourself, improving your opportunities, and giving yourself a chance to move up every ladder there is out there. So I really appreciate all you people watching. Remember, there's a follow button somewhere on everything. If you're watching it on YouTube, follow it. If it's on Amazon, follow it. If it's on Facebook, I guess this way. Yeah, there, go hit that thing and putz around, and it'll be great. And you'll be able to rewatch this thing as many times and see Erin, because she's the best looking thing on this whole broadcast anyway. You guys are great. I'm the Deej. Chris Stone, you are, I mean, it never gets better than when Chris Stone is around. He's the producer of champions. You're gonna see his name in lights in the Producer Hall of Fame, and you could say that you saw him here first on Dan Jordan Live. You're the best. I'm the Deej. Go get them today.